if you go to Egypt, for example, have you been to Cairo? Have you went down to Aswan or Luxor?
No, I didn't to Luxor. But
you will find, like, Egypt is so diverse. You will find people with a little bit fair skin like me, and you have people as dark as you down in the south. Like the Nubians.
That's never portrayed, though. I'd never really see that portrayed.
They never show Nubians. They would show, like,
as far as, like,
white people.
Because I know the Nubians are more south, right?
Show them where.
Whether it's cartoons or whether
just the imagery that we get. The imagery that we get.
Movies, which movies?
Ten Commandments.
Yeah, but that's not our.
We thought Charlton Heston was Moses.
That's the problem of trying to understand a culture through basically entertainment, media. Because entertainment is not true.
Yeah.
And for example, you have President Sadat, who's like
Anwar Sadat.
Yeah, you see,
he was like a black guy.
Yeah. Look, so with this whole thing about trying to turn whatever's happened in Egypt history as white versus left, that is not our thing. This is the white versus left is like an American thing. They are trying to impose a discussion or a conflict that we don't have anything to do with,
like a Western ideology.
Yeah, and projected on some. At that time, this area, Libya and Egypt and Algeria and Sudan and
Morocco,
all of these areas, these were like people with different backgrounds who moved around, and then at a certain time there was a timeline where they drew a line and people settled there, right? But the fact that you try to go and try to claim someone's history as theirs, if Nigeria, West Africa has a very rich history. If someone suddenly from Europe started to claim your heritage, you'd be offended.
Well, they
right?
did.
Yeah, and they do. And then they stole it, right?
Right.
Yeah. So that's my.
So this is me admitting my ignorance because I don't know, and I've often wondered about this. What are the indigenous people of Northern Africa, from Morocco to Algeria, Libya, Egypt? Who are the indigenous people? And I ask that because when you look south of the Sahara, right, and you see everyone, there's some sort of a tonal, type of, connection. But then when you go to North Africa, there is this variety that you talk about, right? More Arab. Were there ever like an indigenous,
I mean, the indigenous people of today were basically, they are the indigenous people who have been living there. Because,
we trying to say, was it the brothers first?
No, no.
Black, man. Just trying to get right to the point, man. Was it black? Were we there first?
He said it. He said
man,
what I was
keep it real, man. Well, the brothers was there first, man. He was building the pyramid, and the Arabs said, hey, man, that's our. We was like, nah, man. We trying to build some triangles. Here you come with this bullshit. And you coming there, man, brothers, he want to know, was it black, man? Was brothers in there like, what's up, king? All right, Pharaoh, what's going on? Who these motherfuckers? Some Arab motherfuckers. Well, I don't know.
You see, this is what happens when you watch too much entertainment. Pyramids were built by rappers, dude. Anyway, no. So to ask you a question, so for example, in North Africa, for example, you have Morocco and Algeria, you have like the Berber living there, and the Amazigh. In Egypt, there was a mixture of so many cultures that accumulated over the years. So it was always been the Egyptians who were
there for, like,
we call them now Copts. We call
how are you spelling that?
We call we're like
Coptic.
Coptic doesn't mean Christian, but it's just the people who've been living there also. They're pharaohs, like me.
They look like you?
No, not with blue eyes. Blue eyes, I think this was an addition.
So they were looking like us.
You cannot really say what does an Egyptian look like, because I can show you like a palette of different Egyptian faces and skin color.
But what about the characteristics? Is one of the controversial things, and we've seen this with I Show Speed, where we looked at the nose. Like when you look at features and you see, okay, why were the noses on the Sphinx blown off? Like what was that? And then a lot of this, there are other statues where the nose were removed.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Okay. So these are two different reasons.
Yeah.
The nose from the Sphinx was blown off because there was like a radical guy who thought that in order for people to not go back and worship idols, so I'm gonna cut their nose. Many of the noses that were smitten, these were like when the Christians took over parts of Egypt, like, the radical Christians, and they started to kind of like, do, it's kind of like an insult, and kind of like a rebellion against like the old religion. So it's really different. It's not like about like changing them. And also even the nose that you're talking about, you will find like completely different noses. Like the nose of Nefertiti is different from a nose of like someone who's like Ramesses. You will have like different, it's like, it's very that's why you're trying to box Egyptians in looking a certain way. If you look at the archaeological paintings for Egyptians in mid-Egypt, it will be different from Alexandria, it will be different from Upper Egypt or Southern Egypt. So all through those years, even when the Arabs came, they didn't come and replace them. The Arabs came with a very small army. They settled down and just mingled with the same people, like the same way that the Greeks came in and intermingled with the Egyptians. Same with the Romans came in and intermingled with the Egyptians. There were always like a core population that was living there. And since we have been there for like 7,000 years, all of these waves of invasions and changing of administrations and power, we became like this incredible mix of different cultures.
Yeah, I've heard different people, like when you look throughout the world, you talk about like if you go to Asia, and, you can see that there are different, obviously Asian groups, right? Within Asia, you go to Europe, you see that there's different European groups. But when you go to Africa and then you go just to North Africa, that is a big difference in change in features.
No, it's because of the color, but also.
But not just the color, just, I mean, because.
Yeah, the phenotype. But you see, it's also, it's because of all of that mixing that happened, Yeah. And this is why it is very dangerous. I don't like these kind of genetic fights. Yeah. About like our genes and our race. We are just a mix of different human races. Yeah. And I think it is very dangerous to import these kind of discussions of genetic purity into our area. This is a way to split people apart. This is a way to make people fight against each other.
Because I think people are trying to understand, like, was there an origin, right? Like when you talk about the indigenous people of the U.S., right? People will say, okay, hey,
but that was
the Native Americans.
That was like an incredible genocide. No. These people were wiped out.
I understand that. I'm not making the comparison. I'm just saying the indigenous going to indigenous and just really trying to, because I genuinely don't know what the indigenous people of Northern Africa, like, was there a beginning? Because when you talk about mixed, when I hear mixed, it implies that multiple people from different places came together.
No, I think that the indigenous people in Egypt, they have been always living there. Okay. And their features have changed slightly and be made more diverse with the different waves of immigration that happened all through the thousands of years.
Yeah, we just feel like, I think when we talk, like a lot of historians, like black historians say, it's like they leave the black part out all the time. That's where it's just Afro, this negative thing about we don't want to have anything to do with black people. So they go, okay, so that's why I think they go, were there any black people around? So they'll avoid all that.
I'll give you an example. Yeah. So Egypt, there was 30 dynasty over 5,000 years.
Yeah.
Dynasty number 22 and number 23, I think they were from Nubia. Right. The dynasty number 24, number 25 were from Libya, right? So they were darker skinned pharaohs.
In the south.
And there were darker skinned pharaohs and there were lighter skinned pharaohs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that it is by the time the history that comes here, the black part is being left out.
Right. Yes.
But back in Egypt, we don't look at it from black and white. We have a Nubian culture, we have a Nubian side, and we have a little bit, a northern side, we have a middle side. We don't look at it as Egyptian from like black versus white.
So it's not like the American type
of... It's just that we learned from the American, they always do the black, white, and leaving stuff out.
So you're saying that doesn't convert over?
Yeah, that doesn't convert. Because as I said, like one of our presidents was like, looked like a brother.
Yeah,
what? It is this whole thing about... And of course, I'm not saying that the racism doesn't exist before skin, because that's, unfortunately, it's there everywhere.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is the fact that we don't look at our pharaohs as black pharaohs or white pharaohs. They're just like pharaohs from different they have different looks and different backgrounds and different parts. It depends on where did you come from Egypt.
Yeah. Okay.
154, we all connected, baby, you already know. I'm talking 154. We bringing Africa around the whole globe. Ain't no place like place like home.